Having abandoned our attempts to bait the elusive Masir, Sirish and I returned to doing what Overdrive does best: giving expensive cars a grueling workout in exotic locations. In this case, the Toyota Land Cruiser and Prado in the jungles of Coorg. But even as we went deeper into the forest, both SUVs were barely breaking a sweat.
Now, if you want to take a Land Cruiser off-road, well, just take it off-road. She's so capable, there's almost nothing that can stop her. But if you want to be a little more technical about it, and if you have some challenging terrain ahead of you, then you have some electronic aids at your disposal. The first obviously is air suspension. Little button over here to raise or lower the suspension. Obviously raise it if you want to go off-road. You can choose between comfort and sport settings for the suspension. I say leave it in auto, the car knows best. You also have downhill descent control, which sets the car at a constant speed while going downhill. You don't have to touch the throttle or the brake. Then there are buttons over here. This one to lock the center differential, the other one to switch off traction control and stability control. And finally, when you're faced with some really tough terrain, stop, put it into neutral and follow.
We were in Coorg before the onset of the monsoon, so the tracks were dry and dusty with no slush in sight, and the Toyotas were gliding through without needing to engage low ratio. In fact, behind the wheel of the Land Cruiser, Sirish was more concerned with piloting the beast through the narrow gaps between the trees and the big V8's unquenchable thirst.
It's got a massive 90-litre fuel tank, but fully tanked up, it does only 500 kilometers, sometimes even less. Do the math, that's around 5 kilometers to the litre. In these environmentally conscious times, ouch!
In the forest, the sun sets pretty quickly, and before we knew it, day one of our trip was at an end. Day 2 saw us leave the luxury of Orange County and head towards our next destination. The Kabini Reservoir, 86 kilometers away and set in the middle of not one but two national parks. But first, we had to go through some pretty disorganized traffic and not so great roads.
Roads in India have improved considerably over the past few years. But if you're doing long distances, you will hit a bad patch of road. You will have speed breakers, most of them unmarked. And invariably, either somebody will push you off the road or you'll have to put two wheels on the dirt to overtake. And for all these reasons and many more, SUVs still rule in India. Speed breakers, which you have to be really careful of in cars because you'll scrape the underbody and the suspension will get a constant beating. In an SUV, you don't have to bother. Okay, passengers get jolted around a bit, but that's about it. An SUV gives you the peace of mind, which is invaluable when you're doing long distances. Of course, SUVs do have their downsides. For instance, they don't handle. Now, the Prado is slightly better than the V8 Land Cruiser. Maybe because it is smaller, it is lighter, the suspension is tied down a bit better. But still, there is no steering feel, there is no brake feel, there is no feel at all. But what you can do is maintain a good, steady average speed. And when you're doing long distances, that's what you need. You need to maintain a good, fast average speed. That's why SUVs are still king of the hill in India.
Now, I know we keep going on and on about how an SUV's high and commanding driving position allows you to eyeball truckers. But this Land Cruiser, man, it's Mount Everest. I'm 6 feet 8 inches tall and I had to climb into this thing. It's that huge. And on the drive on the highway from Pune to Coorg, I've been passing Scorpios, Innovas, minivans, Tempos, and I'm looking down at all of them. Now, our run from Pune to Coorg was the first chance I had to spend some time driving the Land Cruiser. And though I quickly got the hang of accelerating and maintaining speed, the first time I tried to brake, I had my heart in my mouth. This thing is just so huge and so heavy that despite all the electronic aids, the first time you stand on the brakes, you're really wondering when it's going to stop, if ever. But then I was talking to Sirish about it later that day and he told me to try engine braking. And it really works, especially with the automatic box. Just slip the car into sports mode, go along, and when you see the corner coming, tap the gears down a couple of notches and it just slows down. Obviously you need to brake as well, but there's just so much more control about the car. Now yesterday, when I was taking corners flat out in the guards, I would just stand on the brakes and hope like hell that I made it around. Today, using the engine braking is just so much easier. And more importantly, these are very expensive brakes on this car, so you really don't want to run through them very fast.
While both SUVs had automatics, they were lazy gearboxes, taking their own sweet time to go up and down ratios and displaying none of the urgency of their German rivals. But just as I was getting the hang of hustling the big V8 around and keeping up with Sirish, we arrived at Kabini and stopped to fuel up the humans, let the SUVs cool off and get some quick R&R.